It's really important to prepare for the interview, for the questions you're going to be asked and the questions you want to ask.
Preparing your questions is absolutely vital to a successful interview.
It's really important you can demonstrate you've thought about this interview before you go. Many people turn up for interviews with the attitude that it's all in my head and that's fine.
The key benefits are that while you're asking questions, you're controlling the interview, because you can't be answering while you're asking.
And there's an old saying where people say that good salespeople ask a lot of questions. I don't believe that. I believe that good salespeople ask good quality questions. And when someone's interviewing you, they're not looking for a big list of mundane, boring questions like what are the hours, is there a subsidised canteen, and that sort of thing.
People love to talk about themselves. Remember, the interviewer isn't a monster, they're a human being too. And people also like people to take an interest in them.
You've got to remember that I see a lot of candidates when I'm interviewing for positions. So I want like a two-way street where I'm being asked questions about our company, but not just our company, about me, my background, what I want to do in the company.
And it's a good way to engage them and get that rapport going, as well as find out some insights into what it's like to work for the company.
And it also helps warm me up towards the person, because we get some conversation going. It's not just lists of questions.
So why did they join the business? Where do they see the opportunities going for somebody like you in the business? Why should you want to join the business?
Why are they still with the company? What are their longer term ambitions? What are their big achievements in the company from their point of view?
What are some of the challenges associated with working in that organisation? And try and get the questions at more of a personal level between the two of you, as opposed to never talk about salary, for example, early on in the meetings, holidays, all those sort of incidental things that you'll get to know at a later date should they offer you the job. Focus on being able to do the job. Why would you do the job? Where the opportunity is? What are some of the challenges associated with that?
I don't want people that are just going to be yes men or yes women. I want them to be asking me and to be discussing things with me and putting me on the back foot, because at the end of the day, it's those interviews that I'm going to remember once they've gone.
And that also tells the individual that you're meeting, God, this guy's really interested in this role. He's asking me some great questions. This guy can really represent my company in whatever the job is that you're looking to do. Because when people are interviewing you these days, they're not just interviewing you for that particular job. They're also saying, people talk about bandwidth. What is this guy or lady capable of? What is their potential? That's just as important as your ability to do the job.
It's great to have backup questions, and the backup questions, second phase questioning, should be questions that relate to information you've received. So be thinking about receiving information and following on with another question. So things like, you told me earlier the company's expanding. My question is, which markets are you thinking of going into?
Some of the best questions have been things like, what would be the things that you can tell me that would persuade me to take this job? Because that pushes the interviewer into thinking quite hard about it.
Good questions always begin with who, why, what, where and when. It's actually a classic sales technique, and they're called open questions. Now, there's nothing too difficult about it. It's just recognising if you can start your questions that way rather than could I, do you, will you, have you.
The reason for that is that open questions generate more of a response. If I was to ask a closed question about a company's expansion, I'd say, has your company got any plans to expand? To which the interviewer could just say yes or no. The better way to ask that question would be to say, what plans does your company have for expansion? And that then becomes a conversation, because they will answer by saying that this is what we've got planned, this is what we're doing, these are new products, whatever it might be. And you can get involved back by saying, oh really, and what timescale is that over? And therefore you open up more of a dialogue and build much more of a rapport in the interviewer than you would by just asking short questions that evoke short responses.
I have had the situation where someone's turned up with 2 sheets of A4 typewritten questions. That's overkill, I'm afraid. You didn't do your preparation before you arrived.
Too often I see candidates that come to me with very banal questions that they've never really thought of before the interview, and they just throw away questions. Sometimes we ask people whether they have any questions, they even say no, which is a definite no-no.